So I might have got the maths a little bit wrong at the end of the last episode. Turns out we're actually already qualified for the next round of the Champions League. So today is all about making sure we finish top of our Champions League group. How are we doing, everyone, and welcome to part 11 of this Chelsea save here on FM23. I'm Stu. Thank you for joining me in today's video, where we're going to be playing against Atletico Madrid. And depending on that result, we're either going to play against Bayer Leverkusen again in the final group stage game, or we might have what at the time of the last episode was going to be a top-of-the-table clash against Arsenal. But since then, things have happened in the Premier League. You can see the table right there. Arsenal now third. They're actually level on points with Manchester City. They've had a bit of a collapse, whereas we've just carried on going. Our form has been fantastic recently in the league, and you've seen what we've been like in the Champions League. So everything's going pretty well. And we are hoping it continues. And if you are excited to see whether we top our group in this episode, please do leave a like on the video for me and subscribe so you never miss any of the lovely FM content that's to come from this face right here. Since you were last with us, again, we've been very, very good. I'm fairly confident the last game you guys saw would have been one of the Monaco games. I can't actually remember whether it was the first one or the second one. I've forgotten a little bit. It might have been the second one. Either way, as you can see, since that opening month where everything was a bit weird, it's a wall of green. We've not dropped points in any competition at all once. We have just been an absolute machine, which does mean we are going to have a bit of a capitulation at some point. That's just how it works. But we've battered teams like Wolves 6-0. Again, I can't remember whether the Monaco game there. It's been about a week since I've recorded. I do need to point that out, so I am forgetting a little bit. But I can't remember whether it was the home game or the away game. Either way, we've battered some teams. We've had a few close calls, like against Norwich. We really struggled to get past them, but get past them we did. All has been great. In terms of the squad at the moment, no injuries, which is delightful. We've obviously got all of those players unregistered for the Champions League, but we've got a fully fit squad. Players like Bastoni are finally fitting in. Fofana's getting some good games as well. Lukaku is doing pretty well. He's certainly not scoring like Depay did last season, but he is scoring regularly. Speaking of Depay, he's got 5 goals so far this season. He's not hit the heights that he did last season yet. But then, to be fair, he's not played as a striker that often. But you can see the games where he has played as a striker, he's got 1 goal in 3. Well, 2 goals in 5 if you include these ones up here, which is nowhere near where he was last season. But actually, his ratings on the wing have not been that bad. So, I do think his future, well, I say future, I do think for the rest of this season, out on the wing is probably where he's going to be, to the point where I'm actually going to change his training focus to be playing out there as an inverted winger. I think we're just going to commit to that now. But he is going to be a good backup striker for us. And we do, of course, also have, where is he? Where is our little fella? Marcus Leonardo, who is actually available, but we played him in the under-21s because he wasn't getting a lot of football. So that's why he's not available. A few players are like that as well. But enough of all of that nonsense. What we're here about is the Champions League and our Champions League group. If we have a quick... I was hoping there'd be a way to link it to there, but there's not. We won't look at our group just yet because we already know that we're doing pretty well in it. In fact, you know what? Let's have a cheeky little look at it. So, our Champions League group. It's all the way down here. I'm just thinking you're not going to be able to see that. So, let's have a look at groups individually. So, we're looking at Group G. Let's have a nose at it. So, there we go. Group G, as you can see, with 2 games left, there is no way that we can finish outside of the top 2. There's a slim chance that Monaco could overtake us. Obviously, we have already played them, so we need to rely on other results as well as our own there. But in all likelihood, with the goal difference that we've got compared to everyone else and the head-to-head record that we've got, again, we've won every game, I don't think we're going to fail this. So we'll play this game and we'll see what happens. If we lose it, we might go to the final game against Leverkusen. But I think what's more likely to happen is we're just going to play this game and then go to the Arsenal game. So, again, going back, this is the squad that we're going to be using, the first team that we're going to be using, the starting 11, I can't get my words out right, that we're going to be using in this game against Atletico Madrid. It is Mendy in goal, James, Fofana, Bastoni and Chilwell in defence, Kante, Havertz and Mount in the midfield with Asensio, Memphis Depay and Lukaku up front. I think we've got a very, very good chance of getting a result here because we have been fantastic in this group, and Atletico Madrid might be a bit of a dangerous team because they do have things to play for. They are playing basically for a Europa League spot at this point. They also might be able to sneak into the top 2. So again, while we necessarily don't have anything to play for, they absolutely do. Comparatively, obviously, I've talked about the fact that we want to finish top in the group. We absolutely do. But us topping the group is different to them wanting to actually get to the next round of the Champions League. They've got a bit more on them in terms of that. Things we should talk about as well. We do have 1 or 2 players who are not necessarily the happiest bunnies at the moment. The main one is N'Golo Kante. Now, I mentioned not that long ago about how N'Golo Kante is the consummate professional, and he hasn't complained about his game time. Almost immediately after that, he's complained about his game time. So we are trying to start him a little bit more, which is great, which is fine, because he's a good player. But it does mean Koopmeiners has had to sit out a few games while we're giving Kante that game time. And Marco Asensio just forces it in the back of the net. Jan Oblak just utterly fails at being a goalkeeper there. So it's difficult, because N'Golo Kante is a very good player, but he's 31-32. Koopmeiners, in all honesty, I feel like gives the team a better balance when he's in the squad. He's got some fantastic attributes that Kante does have as well, but I feel like he does the role that I want as a halfback a little better than Kante does. Kante, I think, has a bit of energy that gets a little bit wasted in that role, and really, that's probably on me. I probably should have actually used Kante differently in this save, but I've got it in my head that he's a world-class defensive midfielder, which he is. Don't get me wrong, he does a very good job in there. But I actually think Koopmeiners suits the way of play that I prefer. And Lukaku goes and gets his 10th of the season. I'm so glad we've given Romelu Lukaku a chance in this team, because he's gone and done that, and he's done that in a few games, and he does look like the striker he always has had the potential to be. The striker that we've seen in that first season at Manchester United, in his time at Everton, in both of his spells at Inter, in the one game he played for Paris Saint-Germain before we recalled him. He has always had that potential, and it's good to see him actually fulfilling that. But again, this win here does cement us at the top of the table. It also, depending on the Leverkusen-Monaco game, might cement Atletico Madrid not getting through to the next round of the Champions League. So it might actually be costing them by beating them here. But then it does depend on whether Leverkusen can do a job on Monaco, and Lukaku just absolutely skies it. So Kante is a bit of an unhappy bunny at the moment. I think Koulibaly might be one as well, and I think Koulibaly is someone I would be happy to move on in January to bring in a new striker, depending on the money that we would get for him. So that is something we'll have to investigate. January is an interesting one, because I'm actually really happy with the squad that we've got. But if we can find any decent players to bring in, and we can move some players on, because I really do feel like I've had a real trouble in selling players in this save. I don't know the reason why. That's a really nice goal from Carrasco. Let's hope that's not the start of something. I mean, it's on the stroke of half-time. The comeback might be on for Atletico Madrid, but let's hope it's not. Let's have a look at how this happens. So Memphis doesn't win the ball here. Llorente gets the ball, gets to De Paul. De Paul just floats it over. Nicely done from Atletico Madrid. They are a dangerous side. We do need to remember... No, I can't speak. We do need to remember that they are a dangerous side, and that means we are going to go in just with the 1-goal advantage, but it's all good. It's all fine. Again, the pressure is kind of off of us at the moment, and that's what we need to remember. We'd like to get a win just to cement our position in the group, but if we don't win, it isn't actually the end of the world. We need to remember that. So let's hope we can just get another goal and settle things here, but whatever happens in this game, we ain't getting knocked out. That's just the way that it is. Let's keep an eye on the time and make some substitutions when it gets appropriate. Reece James is starting to look a bit tired. He's also not having the best of games. Bastoni not having the best of games either. So we might just make a few changes around about now. Mason Mount also looking tired. So let's just make those changes, shall we? Mason Mount has been in scintillating form as well recently, as you can see by his star rating. So we're going to make the change there. Lorenzo is going to come on. Di Lorenzo. We're also going to take Mason Mount off. The captain's going to come off for Conor Gallagher, or do we bring Koopmeiners on? Let's bring Koopmeiners on, and we'll swap these two around. So we'll have N'Golo Kante play as box-to-box, which he can do, and he can do pretty well. In terms of energy near the forward line as well, I mean, all three of our forward players have been playing really well, so it feels harsh to take any of them off, but then we could just frame it as resting. So actually, let's take Asensio off, and we'll bring Raheem Sterling on. No, we'll bring Ferran Torres on. Ferran Torres does need a bit of football, so we'll make those three changes, and we've got a few changes left in our back pocket as time goes on. But yeah, I'm surprised we've actually seemed to have stepped up from last season. The first few games, again, bearing in mind how difficult the teams that we played right at the beginning of the season were. So we played Man City twice, once in the Community Shield and once just in normal football. I'm a bit surprised that we recovered as well and as quickly as we have done, because I did think that start would just kind of send us down a bit of a rabbit hole of negativity. It really hasn't, though. We've recovered, and we've not really looked back since. Into the final 10 minutes here, we made those final couple of changes, and we get what feels like our first highlight of the half. I don't feel like we've had many highlights, if any, but we do have one in the 84th minute. Cucurella now, getting it forward, looking for Kai Havertz, who's broken free, and he tries the cheeky little chip on your Oblak, but it does not work. and then Madrid start to come out with the counter-attack, but the highlight ends. I wonder whether we'll get one more chance for either side before the end of the game. We've got 3 minutes of added time, and here is the highlight, and it starts with an Atletico Madrid free kick. Adnan Januzaj, of all people, playing for Atletico Madrid, but they do lose the ball, and now we have a chance to counter-attack and maybe get a cheeky third goal. Pulisic gets it into Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz now looking to hold the ball up, get it to someone. He gets it out to Di Lorenzo, into Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners is going to go for a worldie. He does, and it hits the crossbar and goes out, and that's what I mean. Koopmeiners is more likely to go for an absolute worldie, and he's got the ability in him to score an absolute worldie as well, but we don't need that to happen. We win the game 2-1. Happy, happy, happy days, and that does mean we have a look at the group here. Atletico Madrid are now on 4 points. The most they can finish on is 8th. So realistically, 8? Is it 8 or 7? It's 7. They could finish on 7. So realistically, they could still finish second if Monaco bottle their last 2 games. Monaco and Leverkusen still have 2 games left to play. So Bayer Leverkusen, I think, are out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, to be fair, no. Leverkusen, they could also finish in... It's anyone's game for the final Champions League spot, actually. Both Monaco and Bayer Leverkusen on the same amount of games. It depends on who wins that one, who has the best of chance. And then Madrid are still in a decent shout as well. So Bayer Leverkusen will be looking at Madrid and thinking, we're in the same spot as you at the moment. And if we can beat Monaco, it is all to play for on the final round of games. But for us, it's all over. We cannot be caught by anyone. We are top of the group. We are going through as the winners of our Champions League group. Delightful. Right, we are going to go to the Arsenal game then. I know it has a little bit less importance now than it did because they're no longer top of the table. We are. They're not even second at the moment either. But we'll skip ahead. We'll play Bournemouth, Bayern, and Bayer Leverkusen and Brentford, and then we'll come to Arsenal. As an Aston Villa fan, going to the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup against Birmingham is very tempting, but I know I'm the only one who cares about that, so we will come back for Arsenal, and hopefully we'll beat them. Well, after that little group of games, I think it's safe to say everything is coming up. Millhouse, we battered Bournemouth 5-1 in the Premier League, beat Bayer Leverkusen 3-0 in the Champions League, cementing our 100% record in the competition so far, and then we did dismantle Brentford 4-1 as well, which does mean Premier League table currently looks like this. Now, you do have to bear in mind, we do have 2 games in hand on Manchester United, who have come from nowhere seemingly to go top of the Premier League table by a point. So we win both of those games. We obviously lead the Premier League by, I think that would be 5 points, wouldn't it? So that is something that's worth considering. So we're still very, very good in the Premier League. In terms of Champions League group, quickly show you how things ended up. Well, as you can see, we've had the Champions League draw already. So tell you what, we'll talk through that first because we know that we finished first in the group. But as you can see from that list of teams, Monaco are the team who finished second. So that's how the group ended up. Us first, Monaco second. But we have got Inter Milan in the next round of the Champions League. That is going to be a tough game. It's going to be an interesting game for Romelu Lukaku against his former club of 2 spells. And see how that goes. That's going to be interesting when we get to that. But that will be in the next episode. We're talking about this episode today. But before we look at that, let's have a quick look and just see who did get through. Because I'm personally really curious to see who got through to the Europa League. It was Atletico Madrid in the end. So Atletico Madrid found their way through. Good on them. Fair play, lads. Fair play. But today is all about this. It is all about the game against Arsenal. Again, the Arsenal were top of the table for a good chunk of this season. And they have just fallen away. So this helps us get one step closer to potentially cementing our spot at the top of the league. I mean, if we win this game and the next game, like I said, it's 5 points clear as the table stands at the moment. There might be something else in there that means that another team might be closer or something like that. Maybe Man City, maybe Arsenal, who knows. But this is going to be the 11 that we're going to be taking with us to the Emirates in the hope that we get 3 points against the Gunners. It is Mendy in goal, Di Lorenzo, Fofana, Bastoni and Chilwell in defence. Koopmeiners, Havertz and Mount in the midfield with Asensio, Ferran Torres and Lukaku up front. We have got N'Golo Kante to the point where he's happy again. He no longer is worried about his playing time. He has recently had a little knock as well. That's why he's not anywhere near the starting 11, but he is on the bench. It's also worth pointing out that, where is he? Oh, he's in starting 11. Mason Mount is in the middle of signing a new contract as well, so good times with that. We have agreed to move on Koulibaly in the transfer window. He has complained about not getting game time. He wanted to go out on loan. I've turned around to him and said, I'd rather just sell you, really, to be honest. Now, we can either use whatever funds we raise from his sale to bring in another defender, or we do still have Trevor Chalobah, who I'm not currently using. He can play as a central defender. He's played there for Chelsea in real life recently, so he has done a decent job there. I think he would be a decent option if we needed him. We've also got Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who wants to go out on loan. Again, we've promised him that he will go. What's AMG? Apparently I backed down to N'Golo Kante. Is that because I gave him game time? That's a bit of a weird one. But anyway, that's the main stuff that's going on with the squad at the moment. Obviously, as a result, we've solved N'Golo Kante's happiness. As a result of that, team is happier. So let's just get into the squad. Let's get into the squad. Stu, use your words. Let's get into the game and see whether we can actually beat Arsenal, because we've definitely got it in us to do that. But Arsenal have got one of those teams that are very, very tricky to play against at times. I mean, the players are up for this one, as you can see. Not completely up for it, but some of them are very aggressive. But Arsenal, as you can see, that run of form that has derailed their title challenge. They were top of the table for a good chunk of the season thanks to our poor start, but they've had their own poor section of the season right here. And that's the reason why we're top of the table, or near top of the table. As you can see, there's now a 5-point gap between us. Level on games. So Arsenal really need to treat this as a must-win game. So this will be very difficult for us, because at the end of the day, Arsenal are at home. They have got the players to do it. And the pressure is kind of on us to maintain our position at the top of the table as much as it is on them to catch up. Things I do need to talk about as well. Kai Havertz in recent games hasn't been at his swashbuckling best. Mason Mount hasn't been either. Mason Mount actually missed a penalty a couple of games ago and had a torrid time and just could not get going. But maybe, just maybe, that means that both of them need to have a decent game today, and they will. That's the hope. There's rumblings of Bayern Munich coming in with an £85 million offer for Kai Havertz. I don't necessarily know whether they will put an offer in. You get that sort of thing as a news report quite often in the Football Manager, and it doesn't always actually lead to a deal. Romelu Lukaku, by the way, just deciding to go and score an early goal. I'm all for it. So I don't know whether Bayern will come in for an offer with Kai Havertz. I can't see myself accepting an offer for Kai Havertz unless it was an absolutely monumental £100+ million offer. And then I might consider it, just because the quality of player that opens up for us. I highly doubt it, though. I think we're absolutely fine with the midfield we've got, especially that midfield three that are in there at the moment. I've said before, Koopmeiners, I feel like, really gives a good balance in that midfield. 9.5 times out of 10. I don't necessarily know whether, because of the issues we've had with N'Golo Kante, how much we're going to be rotating between the two. I have actually recently been playing N'Golo Kante in Mason Mount's position, which is a bit of a problem because in his new contract, Mason Mount will be considered as an important player. I don't know what he's currently considered as. I feel like it's just as a regular starter. But, I mean, Mount's good. Don't get me wrong. When Mount's on form, he's fantastic. But N'Golo Kante has been showing some real good form in both that position and in the defensive midfield position. He's really shown a bit of motivation, which... The whole reason why we signed Koopmeiners, A, was because we wanted a bit of better squad depth other than Trevor Chalobah. But also, there was issues with the form of N'Golo Kante. And I'm a bit worried that we've just given away a penalty. I don't know whether it will class as outside the box, because it was very close to being on the line. It is a penalty. Now, Mendy did save a penalty in one of the games in between when we were last here and now. So, can Edouard Mendy do it again? No, he can't. And it's Saka who scores the penalty, makes it 1-1. And we are all level again after 26-27 minutes. I mean, a draw wouldn't be the end of the world. It would be the first dropped points of the season after August. Obviously, August, again, I've spoken about it before. We had an awful start in those first couple of league games. But it would be the first drop point since then, and in the nicest possible way. It wouldn't be the end of the world because we've still got a game in hand, as do Arsenal, to be fair. It wouldn't actually help Arsenal at all to have a draw. It just means that we would end up not building on the gap. Looking at the stats, by the way, we've been awful in this game. We really need to step things up. I'm actually going to shout at the team. I actually missed exactly what I was looking at there. Quite angry, furious. I shouldn't have said furious to Romelu Lukaku, actually, because in the nicest possible way, he's actually been one of our best players. Right, Ferran Torres has had a decent amount of form recently, but he's not playing well, so Memphis Depay is coming on. Bastoni's had an absolute shocker, so we're going to have to bring on someone. It's going to have to be Milenkovic. He's not playing on his preferred side, but it's going to have to be him. And we'll leave it at that for now. We'll just encourage those two as well. Just hopefully they will be able to step things up. Step up and show everyone why we should be the better team. Demand more. I'm not going to go attacking. Attacking feels like a silly thing to do at this point. We just need to get a bit more of the ball and get a bit more at them. At the moment, we're not doing that. And that header was high, wide, and not at all handsome. So let's just push on a little bit here, boys, because as it stands, I'm not very happy. And we've given away a free kick to Odegaard. Odegaard tries to do something he doesn't. Asensio heads it forward, but to no one. Mount does win the ball, though, and it's Mount and Asensio. Asensio kind of stops, waits for support. Mount now is through. He has got a defender coming across him. He does go for the shot. Ramsdale says Mount tries to keep it in. He does, but Saliba manages to clear it to Saka, and the highlight ends. We have started this half like no one's business. We have absolutely rocketed into this half with the chances, and we just need to keep doing that until we get another goal. Again, a draw against this Arsenal side is not the end of the world. Arsenal have been very good this season up until the last few games. Again, similar to how we had a bad start, they've had a bad run of games recently. We need to take as much advantage of that as possible, but we know that they've got the ability in them to be all right. And Asensio takes advantage of Lukaku straying offside there. The keeper, Aaron Ramsdale, completely caught in no man's land. Lukaku intelligently leaves it, and Asensio is there to make it 2-1. And all of a sudden, we're back in control. Memphis Depay gets the ball here. Puts it through, seemingly to Lukaku. Lukaku, I think, would definitely have been offside. He doesn't touch the ball. The keeper is blindsided. I think in real life, the flag goes up there. Because although Lukaku doesn't actually touch the ball, he's not the player. Although he's not the player who the ball ends up being played to, it has to be said, he was involved in play. So I do think that gets given offside in real life. I'm not complaining. I'll be honest. I'm not complaining because we're gone ahead. But I do think we've benefited from Football Manager struggling to implement a real life thing there. Because I do think in real life that gets given as offside. I'm not complaining though. Right. Fofana's not had the best game. Neither has Di Lorenzo. I'm looking at Eric Garcia. I kind of don't want to bring him on just yet though. So we'll give the others a chance. Havertz and Mount have both had poor games again. Both of them have, so I think we bring both of them off. I think it's going to be N'Golo Kante and it's going to be Conor Gallagher. They're going to come on. And we'll leave the final change for a little bit longer. And I think that final change is going to be one of Di Lorenzo or Fofana. I'm just not sure which one it will be. Odegaard, some short corner to Smith Rowe. They're trying a little routine here. Out wide to Saliba. Saliba goes for the worldie, puts it just past the post. I don't know what I'm saying there. And it's still 2-1. And to be honest, we have recovered in this second half, but we are getting away with one a little bit here, and it's good to see us being able to grind out a result. Right, Fofana or Di Lorenzo, we're going to go with fitness because they're both on the same rating, and Eric Garcia is going to come on. He's actually been decent as an emergency right back this season, Eric Garcia. We'll bring him on. He'll give us a bit of defensive cover on that side. He might actually help Fofana out to have someone out there with a bit more defensive nous, possibly. That's the hope anyway. Right, Koopmeiners with a poor pass and Saka intercepts. And now Arsenal looking to go ahead. But N'Golo Kante with a great bit of defending there. And Memphis Depay goes for the world. He puts it high and wide over the bar. And Nicolas Pepe, of all people, coming on for Arsenal. Hopefully sorting his Arsenal career out in this universe. Probably not in real life, but in this universe, it looks like he is. Right, Saliba trying to break free. We're in the 87th minute at the moment. There is time for Arsenal to get something back from this game, and it does concern me greatly. But when Koopmeiners is as good as he is, he can just stop things happening like that. Right, Eric Garcia now. Gets it to Gallagher. Gallagher looking for options. Goes back to Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners looking up. Looks up for Lukaku. Gets it to him. Lukaku now. Big ball through to Memphis Depay. Memphis Depay makes it 3, and that should be that. And Memphis Depay and Lukaku working well as a 2 in that front 3. Doing a very, very good job. And I think we've got our front 3 sorted for the rest of the season. It's Lukaku, Depay, and Asensio. We wanted it to be that when we decided to recall Lukaku. We knew that Asensio was going to be on the right. We had a feeling Memphis might move to the left if we sorted the striker situation out. And we've sorted it out with Romelu Lukaku coming back to the club and doing absolute wonders. Goals, assists, he's looking absolutely superb. And that is a big win that puts us back at the top of the table. And we still have a game in hand. I'm not going to say anything else because I've said that they've had a good game. That's all I need to hear. So there we go. One game behind, Manchester United with a 2-point gap. So we win that, we go 5 points clear. Manchester City level on points with us as well. So yeah, we're flying. We're absolutely flying. That is a heck of a result. And I think we should be really, really proud of a lot of things. I think we should absolutely be proud of Romelu Lukaku's return to Chelsea. I think we can actually say now he's had a very, very good return. I mean, look at the goal return. I mean, there's a couple of games where we've not picked him just to rest him. He has had a couple of games here and there. But I mean, against Monaco, he was unplayable. He was fantastic against Brentford. He was great against Arsenal just now. He was superb against Middlesbrough. Great against Fulham. there's so many goals and assists here. Yeah, okay, if you looked at Depay's the record last season, maybe it was more impressive. But I actually think for Lukaku to come back, 9 goals and 5 assists in 11 Premier League appearances, that's actually stunning. He's got 14 goal contributions in 11 games. It's not the top because, in the nicest way, we live in Erling Haaland's world where he's got 20 goals in a ridiculous amount of games and 5 assists as well. I mean, he's played more games actually than Romelu Lukaku, but Lukaku certainly, in a world where he doesn't exist and in a world where he starts firing on the first day and we don't bring him back on the last day of the transfer window, he's probably up there with Isak and Calvert-Lewin, because I've got a feeling he's going to be 4th or 5th, which is 6th actually. Marco Asensio has actually scored more than Lukaku, but Marco Asensio has been playing virtually every game, so I gotta say, very happy with how things are going. Again, if we just confirm the Premier League table, have a quick nose at that, it is a thing of beauty. Top of the table by 2 points with a game in hand. Our form is superb. We still have that wall of green post-August, which is lovely to see. So as mentioned previously, this season is all about the Champions League, so we're obviously going to be coming back for the games against Inter Milan. We're going to come back for both of those games. Do we come back for both of those games, or do we come back for one of them? Oh, I'm not too sure, actually. We might just come back for the second game against Inter, because then we can condense the season a little bit more, get this season out of the way, get this save out of the way, and start on my career. That's what I'm thinking about doing. So we'll actually come back for the second game, and if we win that game in the round of 16, we then go through to the quarterfinals, and we'll do the same thing again, and that will just speed things up a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to play all of that football, play through the January transfer window, and we're going to come back for that second game against Inter Milan. That feels like a plan to me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, leave a like on there for me and subscribe so you never miss any of the Football Manager content from the channel. I've been Stu, you guys have been awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.